The Philadelphia Eagles have found themselves in some trade rumors, some free agency moves that could be happening after the Bryce Huff contract was moved, and Philly now has somewhere in the realm of $30 to $45 million in cap space. There is expectation that the Philadelphia Eagles will be making another major move this offseason, this summer, whether that be trading for a premier player or signing one from free agency. Today, I want to just talk about quickly the guys that I see the names mentioned quite frequently. We'll start with the edge rushers, TJ Watt and Trey Hendrickson, both of which are holding out of their team's mandatory minicamps at this moment as they await a new contract. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati both have not paid their premier edge rusher talent. To be quite frank with you guys, I expect both of those teams to pay their edge rusher talent, but if an opportunity were to arise, of course, I would be ecstatic for the Philadelphia Eagles to bring in either one of these players. You can never have too much edge rushing talent, and Philadelphia lost some of those guys this past offseason. Josh Sweat, who obviously played a major role in the Super Bowl victory. Obviously, we just saw they traded away Bryce Huff for whatever that's worth. You lose a Milton Williams on the defensive line. So there are pieces that have come and gone from this Eagles defensive line. There are certainly pieces there that I'm confident in. Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Jalex Hunt. That is kind of your core four going forward. You have a Moro Ajomo. You have a Ty Robinson who the team drafted. You have some veteran free agents the team brought in. But at this moment in time, could we use another edge rusher? Everybody could use another edge rusher. Am I willing to overpay? Maybe if it means beating out Washington or San Francisco for one of these guys, but ultimately the edge rusher dream of TJ Watt or Trey Hendrickson in Philadelphia to me feels like just that, a dream, because Philly would have to trade, probably a first and then some additional 2026 assets, and then also turn around and hand one of these guys, you know, 30 to $40 million a year after what we saw Myles Garrett get in a contract, and with Jalen Carter coming up having to be paid, some stud corners on this defense that'll eventually have to be paid. I'm not sure that Philly wants to commit that kind of money to an aging edge rusher when they have a very fun young defensive line that has shown productivity in the past. Some names that I think are more likely: the cornerbacks, whether that be Jalen Ramsey, who's available for trade from the Miami Dolphins, and I don't think it would cost a high price at all. And Philly, who has a million mid-round picks in 2026, could easily work out that deal. Or Philadelphia native and now released cornerback Jair Alexander. The reason that I think a corner is much more likely is because Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, even to some extent Moro Ajomo and Jalex Hunt are proven commodities at the NFL level. The cornerback 2 position, if you factor in Quinyon Mitchell as your number 1 outside corner and Cooper DeJean as your nickel corner, is some world of Kelee Ringo and Adoree Jackson at this point in time. I believe in Kelee Ringo. I've been on the channel for months saying that at this point, and from what I understand, he's had some good OTAs. He had a really good day 1 of minicamp. But if the team were to feel that he was not ready, they lost some depth at corner, Darius Slay and Isaiah Rodgers. And in that, they lost a veteran presence in Slay and a veteran starter in Slay. Jair Alexander, to me, is still a top 15 corner in football, and you don't have to trade any assets away to get him. Jalen Ramsey, to me, is still a top 10 corner in football, and the assets you have to trade away are not that heavy, if I had to guess on the price. If Kelee Ringo is not where the team would like him to be, at 22 years old, mind you, still younger than Quinyon Mitchell, I could see this team, knowing that the roster is Super Bowl ready, committing to one of these veteran corners for a year or two. And I wouldn't be mad about it at all. The money was going to Bryce Huff. If the money that was going to Bryce Huff is now going to Jair Alexander, sign me up. Still a lockdown. and he terrorizes the Dallas Cowboys. Bonus on top there. Those moves to me are way more likely for Philadelphia. I think Philly, the D-line, yes, Jalen Carter's an absolute beast, and I think Nolan Smith, sky's the limit. But they have kind of been a death by 1,000 cuts defensive line. Not an elite pass rusher on there. Jalen Carter's obviously an elite talent. But they have a lot of bodies. They brought in a Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari. You mentioned the guys that I said at the beginning of this video. Carter, Davis, Smith, Hunt, Bajomo, Robinson. That's 8 deep. Cornerback position, Quinyon, Dory Jackson, Keely Ringo, DeJean. Not as deep. Jair Alexander and Jalen Ramsey have more of a home in Philadelphia than one of those edge rushers. The price is cheaper, and it's more of a need. As well, I don't want to close the door on Jesse Bates, a guy who I think is clamoring to play for Vic Fangio again, wants to compete for Super Bowls, has made that known, but it's with Reed Blankenship and Andrew Makuba and Sidney Brown. Is there a spot for Jesse Bates on the roster? That's what we have to consider. I say there could be. Again, you better keep an eye on Eagles minicamp and Eagles OTAs, because man, oh man, do I think that the secondary has some things to watch. Let me know which of these big names you think the Philadelphia Eagles are most likely to acquire. Who would you most like to see them acquire? If you are not already subscribed to this channel and you love the Philadelphia Eagles, hit that like button. I'll catch you next time. Peace.